Hello and welcome back to another episode on Heal Out Loud. And today's episode is all about why you keep feeling stuck, why you keep feeling unhappy, why you keep feeling sadness, and how to break free from this sadness, this lost period in your life. So buckle up. It's going to be an amazing episode. So let's dive in. The reason that you are feeling stuck, that you cannot break patterns, that you cannot break your own negative habits is not because you're lazy. It's not because you're not disciplined. It's not because you're not motivated. It's because of your wounded inner child. So who is this wounded inner child? You've been hearing a lot about reparenting your inner child, healing your inner child, that we all have a wounded inner child. Of course, everyone's wounds are different according to what they went through as kids. And if you're tuning in and listening and you've had a very easy childhood, a very what we call on paper good childhood, you had your parents, you've had a good relationship with them, everyone still has a wounded inner child. Of course, different levels and degrees, but everyone has a wounded inner child. So who is the wounded inner child really? So you need to understand that growing up, it's like you're a computer that doesn't have any software inside it. Between your childhood years and your teenage years, you start inputting software into this computer, into your subconscious brain. Because as I explained before, the brain is divided into two parts, 5% conscious, 95% subconscious. The 5% conscious brain is the brain that you're using right now to listen or to watch this episode. And the 95% subconscious brain is that brain that goes on autopilot. Maybe you're driving from work back home and you have no idea how you arrived. Maybe you're listening or watching this podcast and all of a sudden you realize that you've drifted somewhere far away. So that is your subconscious taking the lead. So this software is your subconscious brain. And when you're growing up, so let's say, for example, there's a death of a loved one, there's a separation between the parents, there's sickness in the family, there's a sibling that needs more attention than you, there are problems in the family, financial, health problems, or it could be as simple as your siblings are way more naughty than you. And so your mom decides to take your siblings out with her when she has to run her errands, and you stay at home with your dad because you're the easiest kid. Or maybe it could be that your parents want to go on a holiday and they're going to let you sleep at your grandparents' house for the weekend. And as a kid, you make every single thing mean something about you. If your mom takes your siblings running errands with her instead of you, you might make that mean that there's something wrong with you, and that's why your mom didn't take you. If, for example, your parents are going on a holiday and they're going to leave you with your grandparents, then maybe you make that mean that you are not loved, that you are not worthy to go on holiday with your parents. So these are the small T's. But if there's a death of a loved one, if there's a separation between parents, if there's divorce, if there's fights between the parents, these contribute to bigger traumas, and it creates an abandonment wound in your software. So this abandonment wound becomes the wound that you live from. So you have these beliefs that nothing lasts forever, everybody leaves, life is sad, I'll always be left alone. So growing up as a kid, you start making every single thing mean something about yourself. As a kid, you do not know how to differentiate between, oh, look, my mom and dad need a holiday, or, oh, my mom and dad are fighting because they have problems between themselves and it has nothing to do with me. Or maybe my dad is calling me names because there is something wrong with me. You're not going to say my dad is calling me names because he is always angry and dysregulated. So as a kid, you do not know how to differentiate between other people's wounds and how they react from them and your worth. So as a kid, you make everything mean something negative about yourself. Also, as a kid, you're never going to point fingers at your parents because your parents are your survival mechanism. You need your parents to survive, and your parents are adults. And as a kid, you think and believe that your parents are bigger than you, so they know what they're doing. They are responsible, they're mature. Therefore, as a kid, you will never make your parents seem wrong. You will never realize that your parents have their own traumas, their own wounds that they're still living from. But as a kid, you make it mean that there is something wrong with you. Then you start going to school, and other kids are talking about the different relationships they have with their parents. You see them with a different backpack, or they have more toys than you, or they are happier than you, or they have their lunch which seems nicer than yours, or their mom doesn't work and your mom works, or their mom and dad are not separated but your parents are, or you're living with your grandparents and they're living with their parents. Anything really, you start comparing everything to your friends. You start comparing and analyzing, and you start making everything mean something about you. Maybe the way you look, maybe the way you live at home, maybe the way you show up at school, maybe your intelligence, your character, your laughter, every single thing you start comparing to others, and you start making this mean something about you. Apart from your family and your kids at school, there's also teachers. And sometimes teachers do have a preferred student. Or you might be a naughtier kid than your other kids in class, or you might be a kid who is more talkative than the other kids in class. And you're always getting shouted at, punished, and therefore you're going to make this mean something more about you, something negative about yourself. So we've had this computer where it was empty, it had no software. And as you're growing up, your experience with your parents, your experience with your grandparents, your experience with your aunts and uncles, with your cousins, at school, with friends, with teachers, your extracurriculum activities, and you start inputting these beliefs inside your subconscious brain. And beliefs like, I am not good enough, there's something wrong with me, I am not lovable, everybody leaves, I am not worthy. And all these beliefs make up your subconscious brain, your software. And as you're growing older, you keep on living life from these limiting beliefs from your subconscious brain. There was a time where science believed that the 95% subconscious brain was irrelevant to humans, like the appendix is to humans. And they used to focus just on the 5% conscious brain. But after some years and after some studies, it has been realized that this 95% subconscious brain is what drives your decisions, your reactions, the way you feel about yourself, the way you feel about others, the way you feel about the world. And what happens as an adult is you keep on living from those beliefs. So if, for example, you have a limiting belief that I am not good enough, you're going to keep on attracting people and situations in your life that are going to make you feel that you are not good enough. If, for example, you have a belief that you have to please people to be loved, you are going to constantly exhaust yourself into pleasing others, but never pleasing yourself. If, for example, you have a belief that you have to be perfect to be loved, you're going to develop tendencies of perfectionism. If you have a belief that you need to achieve to be loved, you are going to constantly achieve and achieve and achieve. In fact, from my personal experience, I had this belief that if I did well in school, my mom would finally magically become clean, become sober. So then I developed the trait of being a hyperachiever, which exhausted my nervous system. So you become a result of these beliefs. You keep on attracting people and situations that are going to make these beliefs that you have stored in your subconscious brain seem true. So for example, if you believe that you are not lovable and someone shows you love and shows you that you are lovable, what happens is you start sabotaging it. You start pushing that away because the love that you are receiving from this person is not aligned with the limiting beliefs that you have stored in your subconscious brain. It is not aligned with, I am not lovable. So you start pushing this away. You start sabotaging it. You start avoiding the person. You start snapping at the person. You start treating the person badly because being loved is not a belief that you have in your subconscious brain. So until you're going to heal your wounded inner child, you're going to continue living from these limiting beliefs that you've carried from your childhood. We're all in adult bodies, but all of us are operating from our inner child. If you have a belief that everybody leaves, for example, or that you're not worthy, or that you're not good enough, or that there's something wrong with you, what's going to happen is that as soon as someone shows you love, you're going to attach to that love fully, because you have these insecurities that you're not good enough, that there's something wrong with you. And all of a sudden, this person is loving you. And this person is making those insecurities seem untrue. So what happens is that all of a sudden, you're putting this person on a pedestal, and this person is what has saved you from your own misery, from your own thoughts, from your own sadness. Finally, this person is making you feel that you are worthy, that you are lovable, that there's nothing wrong with you. So you attach to this person, you put them on a pedestal, you overgive so you do not lose this person, you please this person, you start controlling, you start not trusting because you have the fear that everybody leaves. You start feeling insecure, you start feeling threatened that if they leave, then that's going to mean that there is something wrong with you, that you aren't lovable, that it's true everybody leaves. So unless you're going to heal your wounded inner child, you're going to continue operating from these beliefs. You're going to continue pushing people away. You're going to continue over giving. You're going to continue people pleasing. You're going to continue ride the stories in your head that you're not good enough, that there's something wrong with you. And with every single person that leaves, they keep on reaffirming this story that you carried since childhood, which hurts a real lot. In fact, think of a time where something minor happened, like nothing big happened, but your emotions to what happened were huge. And that is because it is coming from past wounds. I remember one time, I think I was 11 years old, and I already had a really tough day. We didn't know where my mom was for a whole week, and I had some arguments with my grandma. There was my sister who was a baby living with us, and I was just super overwhelmed. I wanted to study, I wanted to find my mom, I wanted my grandma to feel better, I wanted my sister to stop crying. I was super overwhelmed, and I was carrying my file from one room to the other, and my file dropped and all the papers ended up like on the floor. And I remember I just started crying and crying and crying. And I was telling myself, why are you crying? Just because your file of papers dropped on the floor. This is not normal. You're not normal. Stop crying. Stop being a baby. And instead of realizing that my reaction was so big because of what was happening, I continued shaming myself. I continued being nasty towards myself. And the words I was telling myself, stop crying, stop being a baby, you're not normal, they weren't my own internal words. They were words that I heard when I was growing up. So apart from having all these beliefs, you also have this inner critic inside your head. And this inner critic does not belong to you. This inner critic belongs to those people, maybe your mom, maybe your dad, maybe your grandparents, maybe your cousins, maybe your uncles, your aunts, your teachers, anyone really. That inner critic belongs to them when they told you that you are stupid, when they told you that you're not normal, when they told you to stop crying, when they told you to toughen up, when they told you to sit properly, when they told you to not speak loud, when they told you to speak louder. That inner critic is not yours, and you can only heal that inner critic once you heal the wounded inner child. So some signs of having a wounded inner child are taking everything personal, believing you're unlucky in life and love, big feelings about small things, low self-esteem, feeling like a victim, relationship issues, friendship issues, and family issues, and repetitive patterns of pain and sadness. The way you show up when you wake up in the morning, the thoughts that you carry when you wake up in the morning, the way you speak to yourself when you look in the mirror, the way you feel when you enter a room, the way you're constantly throwing a tantrum every time before going out because you don't like what you're wearing and how they're fitting on your body, the way you feel when you say that you're going to the gym and you do not manage to go, the way you feel when you say that you're not going to eat junk food, that you're not going to eat sugar, and day after day, you keep on disappointing yourself. Every single thing that is happening in your life, the way you show up in your life, the way that you speak to yourself, the way that you show up in relationships, the people that you are attracting in your life, the friendships you're attracting in your life, the sad job that you're still working in, the sad feelings that you feel after meeting your family, the triggers that you feel after meeting your family, they're all coming from your wounded inner child. The feeling of having these big dreams and not managing to accomplish them, the fear that you feel, the playing small, the not shining bright enough because you're afraid of who will hate you when you do, who you will bother when you shine bright. All these feelings are coming from your wounded inner child. And until you're going to heal your wounded inner child, you're going to keep attracting the same person in a different face and body. You're going to keep playing small. You're going to keep trying to please everyone except yourself. You are going to keep abandoning yourself. You are going to keep feeling stuck in cycles and habits and patterns that do not honor you, that aren't healthy for you. You are going to keep feeling sadness, depression, loss, anxiety. So healing the wounded inner child is what's going to help you shift into feeling at peace, happy, and grounded, with or without a partner, without needing Prince Charming to come and save you, without needing Giulietta to come and save you, just by saving yourself. When I sat down for the first inner child healing session, I had been reading a lot, I had been studying a lot. I was doing all the work, the journals, the meditations, the reading books, the trying to stop myself from being triggered. I was doing all the work. Like, I spent so many years doing the work, but all that work gave me awareness. I still got triggered. I still took things personally. I still felt insecure. I still had low self-esteem. I still pushed people away. I still begged for the wrong person to stay. I still cried for the wrong person to stay, even though I was unhappy, even though I knew they weren't the right person for me. I pushed the right ones away. I completely sabotaged my life without me knowing that I was sabotaging my life. I thought that I was just unlucky in life. I was unlucky in love. I thought I was just completely doomed. I thought there was something inherently wrong with me. And I used to go to therapy since I was 7 years old. So I felt it even more. I was like, okay, definitely there's something wrong with me. I think I should just sign myself inside a mental institution because there is no hope for me. I'm always sad, always anxious, always really depressed, always praying for a way out, always praying that God will choose me and take me with him. It was a horrible period in my life. And for the first session that I had with this inner child healing, first of all, I was very skeptical because I thought, listen, I've been reading the books, I've been studying, I've been attending courses, I've been doing this and that, and nothing has been working. I had also done meditations, inner child healing meditations by myself on YouTube, and it still didn't work for me. I didn't feel anything. So I was like, okay, so I'm going to invest this much money into something that most probably is not going to work because apparently nothing is working for me. Apparently I'm just doomed. I'm just unlucky. And I still gave it a shot because I genuinely felt like giving up. And it was a time where our mom passed away. Our grandma had moved into a nursing home because of her dementia. So it was just me and my sister didn't have anyone who could take care of her. So I had to step up. I had to figure out what I was going to do. I had said, F it, I'll live life just for Yana. I'll stay depressed, but at least I'll be here for her so I can feed her, I can care for her. But that was impossible because I couldn't get out of bed. I couldn't eat, let alone cook. So I really needed to see what I was going to do because I did not want to harm my sister the way I was harmed growing up by seeing the depression that my mom and my grandma both endured. So basically, after my first inner child healing session, I realized and I told my coach who was doing my inner child healing, I told her, Aunt, this is the love that I have been searching for all along. And it was such a magical moment. And I truly felt and believed that there was no hope for me. And that first inner child healing session with a coach changed my life. Of course, it took some time until I stopped feeling depressed, but it was super, super quick. The love that you've been searching from outside of you, the pain that you've been enduring will all be healed once you attend to your inner child. And I'm talking from my own experience. I'm talking from my sister's experience, both Yana and Lily. I'm talking from my client's experience. Inner child healing is the way forward. And if you've been going to talk therapy and talk therapy hasn't been working for you, the main reason why talk therapy hasn't been working for you is because when we're talking, the body doesn't know that you're talking about something that you've gone through in the past. The body thinks that you're reliving it. In fact, if I had to ask you to think of the happiest memory of your life, you will be smiling when you're sharing it. But if I had to ask you about the worst memory, the most sad memory you've had in your life, you will end up crying. So the body doesn't know whether you're talking about something that happened in the past or something that is happening now. So the body is reliving the experience. Your inner child is reliving the experience when you're talking about it. So when you've spent years feeling lost, depressed, sad, alone, unwanted, unworthy, inner child healing is what you need to go for. Talk therapy has its benefits and it's very good when you're going through a rough patch in your life, wanting to be held accountable, wanting to speak to someone, wanting to have someone, a professional supporting you. Talk therapy is very good when it comes to that. But if you've been feeling sad, lost, alone, depressed, stuck in the same never-ending patterns, never-ending cycles, every single relationship that you have is a photocopy of the other relationship that you had. You always end up being heartbroken. You always feel unlucky. You're always calling yourself names. You're always looking in the mirror and feel disgusted by who you are. Maybe one day it's your weight, another time it's your hair, another time it's your face, another time it's your eyes. So if there's always something like these repetitive patterns that are keeping you stuck, the way to unstuck yourself and unfuck yourself basically is to do inner child healing, is to reparent your inner child. Okay, so I've spoken enough, I think, about who is the inner child, what's happening in your life. So now you have the awareness. Now you're understanding what's happening in your life. But the awareness on its own is not going to take us anywhere. It's good to have awareness, but awareness on its own is not going to take you anywhere. You're still going to feel stuck. You're even going to feel worse because now you're aware of what's happening. Now you're aware of what you should be doing and not doing. And it seems like you can't not get triggered. You can't not react the same way you used to react in the past. You can't not speak negatively to yourself. So now you're aware and you know what you should be doing and you can't do it. So it gets even worse when we have the awareness. We're going to go to the juicy part of what is really going to help you. And I'm going to be sharing ways to heal your inner child. And listening to this podcast, listening to other podcasts, watching YouTube videos, reading self-help books, they're all going to help, but they're going to help to raise your awareness. What is really going to help is you doing the work. I wish I can wave a magic wand at you and take away all of your pain. I know how painful this period is for you. I know I've lived it. And I truly wish I can take away all of your pain. But that is not something that anyone can do. The only way out of this period is through it. And there are ways that I'm going to be sharing on how to heal your inner child. But you have to stop avoiding the work. You have to stop thinking that because you're reading the books, because you're listening to the podcast, because you're watching YouTube videos, that you're doing the work. It's good that you're listening and watching and reading. It's very good to build more awareness, to understand more what's happening. But the true healing and shift happens when you sit down and do the work. And you just need a few minutes every single day. You just need to be a little bit more in the present moment, to be aware when you're driving from home to work or work to home, to look at the trees, to look at the cars in front of you, to get yourself back in the present moment and not let your subconscious mind drift very, very far away, to constantly get yourself back in the present moment. So to get yourself back in the present moment, what I suggest is that you set 3 alarms on your phone. One for the morning, one for the afternoon, and one for the evening. Alarms that remind you that you are the creator of your reality, that you are your inner child. These alarms are there to help you shift back in the present moment, to remind you that you are the creator of your reality, not the victim of your reality, and also to remind you that you are your inner child. So if you are your inner child, if you had to grab a photo of 5-year-old you, 6-year-old you, 7-year-old you, whatever the age you choose, if you had to grab a photo and look at this photo, would you call him or her ugly, annoying, unwanted, unlovable? Would you tell them that there is something wrong with them? Or would you be kind, compassionate, loving, sweet? So I think it would be the latter, I hope. So important that you remind yourself that you are your inner child. Your inner child still lives within you. It still lives inside you. So every single time that you're going in front of the mirror and you're shaming yourself and you're being really nasty towards yourself, you are not being nasty towards adult you. You're being nasty towards your inner child. And your inner child already heard words like, you're stupid, you're not good enough, get up, this is not how you do this, you're so lazy, you're so annoying, shut up, I'm tired, let me rest, stop talking. Your inner child already heard all of this. Your inner child has already felt excluded, unwanted, shamed, blamed, like there's no one to love your inner child, that they do not have a place on this planet, they do not belong. So you need to stop speaking to your inner child like this. Instead, you need to be kind and compassionate. So first, set 3 alarms to shift yourself back in the present moment. Remind yourself you are the creator of your reality. Remind yourself that you are your inner child. And when you remind yourself that you are your inner child, your internal conversations will start shifting. Become aware of your internal conversations. If you're going to drive from home to work and you're going to let your subconscious brain take you somewhere far away, most probably your subconscious brain is going to think things like, no one texted me yesterday, no one liked my photo yesterday, nobody cares about me, nobody loves me, nobody knows what I'm going through, why am I so ugly, why am I so this, why am I so that, why doesn't anyone care about me? If you're not going to shift yourself back in the present moment, your internal conversations are going to look something like that. So you need to start becoming more aware of your internal conversations by shifting yourself more in the present moment. So set these 3 alarms and be more in the present moment. A few weeks ago, I was on a walk with one of my friends and I saw a rainbow, a double rainbow, I saw an owl, and being in the present moment is going to allow you to see so many beautiful things. If you're going to constantly be lost in your thoughts, be lost in your subconscious mind, you're not going to be able to see what is truly happening around you and the beauty of what is happening around you. Secondly, and this is very important for your inner child, is do things that bring you joy. If you are living life from a very serious place, if you are constantly running from one errand to another, from one thing on your to-do list to another, if you're always in a bad mood, always grumpy, if your chin wags before you, if you do not have any joy in your life, that is a clear sign of a wounded inner child, because children are dancing, they're playing, they're creative, they're happy. And you might be saying, yes, but when I was a kid, I didn't need to work, I didn't need to cook, I didn't need to do laundry, I didn't need to clean. Granted, and it's true, I used to believe the same as you. I was a person who was constantly, as I said earlier, I'm a hyperachiever, so I was constantly trying to achieve things, always in a bad mood, always eating quickly, rushing, going for a walk quickly, going to the gym quickly, and my nervous system had reached its peak and my hair was falling out, my face was constantly flaring up, my autoimmunes were flaring up. It was insane. So it's true, there's a lot of things to do, but you can always laugh and enjoy whilst you're doing this. Like, since all of this shifted for me, in the past, maybe I would be grumpy even when we're eating, and maybe I would tell my sister how many things I have left to do, and maybe I'd get pissed off if she doesn't help me. And now it's so different. Now, if we're eating and we're laughing. Now, if we're cleaning and we're laughing together. It's such a different vibe. And of course, there are still moments where one of us is sad or when one of us has some problems, but sitting down and talking that through calmly and peacefully. So it's very important that you find things that bring you joy. Maybe it's a quick 5-minute dance. Maybe it's calling a friend to laugh, not to share more on how sad you are and how sad life is, just to have a good laugh and to enjoy their energy. Maybe making a nice latte. Maybe making a dish that you really enjoy, because it's true that you have to cook every single day, but most people enjoy cooking. So just make it fun. Enjoy it. Put on some music. Light your favorite candle. Do things that bring you joy. Go out in nature. Go and meet some stray cats or some dogs. Anything that brings you joy. Let your inner child out to play. The best thing that you can do on your healing journey is to have fun. Even instead of reading all these self-help books, instead of reading all these things that you think that are going to miraculously heal you, read a nice drama if you enjoy reading dramas. Read a nice love story if you enjoy reading a love story. Read a nice psychological thriller if that's what you enjoy. Do things that bring you joy, because the awareness, you already have it. You know what you should be doing. But now you need to actually do the things. You don't need many other books about self-help. You don't need a million other methods on how to heal. The way to heal is the way that you can bring peace, safety, and calmness in your body and in your head. Another way to heal your inner child is to say more yes to yourself and no to others. Ask yourself, if I say yes to this person, am I saying no to myself? Because when you have a wounded inner child ends up people pleasing, because it believes that if it doesn't people please, it will not be loved. So very important that you start sitting with the fear that comes up. So ask yourself, if I say yes to this person, am I saying no to myself? And if the answer is yes, make it a point that you tell this person that you cannot. You do not need to over-explain. You do not need to make up for it. Sit with the fear of saying no to this person. Remind your inner child that they are still loved, that they still have you. Visualize and close your eyes and think of 5-year-old, 6-year-old, 7-year-old you and tell them, listen, we are going to say no because I prioritize you, I love you, and you are my number one priority, and we're going to say no to this person. It's okay that you're fearing abandonment. It's okay that you're fearing being disliked. It's okay that you have fear that you are not going to be loved. I am going to love you. I like you, and I will never abandon you. Over-explaining is a trauma response. And when you over-explain, so imagine you ask me, Nick, can you meet for a coffee? And I say, hey, no, sorry, I can't meet for a coffee because I need to record the Heal Out Loud episode, and I have clients, and I need to do this, and I need to do that, and later I have this. You're going to think that I'm making excuses. You're going to feel bored by my reply, and you're not going to respect me because I am giving off this energy like, listen, I'm going to tell you all of this because I want you to still love me. I want you to still like me. I want you to still be there for me. Please do not leave me. And you're just going to feel repelled by that energy without you knowing why. So do not over-explain. Think of it this way. Think of the people that are in your life who do not people-please, who do not over-explain, who just say no, and they are way more respected, even at work. Think of that person who's constantly licking your boss's ass. Your boss doesn't respect that person, and he respects the person who has more boundaries. Also, think of the dynamic in the family. Maybe you are the people pleaser and your mom and your dad keep on constantly calling you to help them. Even your aunts, even your uncles, everyone is constantly calling you whilst you're feeling depressed, anxious, frustrated, angry. So it is very important to stop people pleasing, which is another way to heal your inner child. So stop saying yes to others and no to yourself, and stop people pleasing. When you people please, you are raising the bar for that person. So if, for example, it's you and your sibling and you are the people pleaser and you are the one that's constantly saying yes, your parents are not going to even try and call your brother or your sister because they know that your brother or your sister will say no. So they're going to call you and they're going to ask you to drive them somewhere or to do this and that. And of course, just because you help every now and again, there's nothing wrong with that. But what's important is that you do not abandon yourself to not be abandoned by others, because the worst abandonment that you can endure is self-abandonment. Your inner child wants you. Your inner child wants you to stop abandoning them instead of stop praying to not be abandoned by others. Set boundaries and stick to them. Setting boundaries is hard, but sticking to them is the hardest part. Sit with the fear when you feel scared to say no again and again. But if you're not going to stick to your boundaries, people are going to overstep. People are going to test you. So it's very important to remind your inner child that even though you're saying no to the person, you still love your inner child. You're still going to stay with them. You're not going to abandon them. This is very, very important. Another way to heal your inner child is to build self-trust. Say what you want to do and do what you say. It's better to make a shorter to-do list, a shorter plan for the day than a long to-do list, a long plan, and then you do not manage to tick them off. Or maybe you get overwhelmed by the amount of things on your to-do list. Maybe you get stuck in perfection paralysis. Maybe you self-sabotage. So what I suggest is that you create 2 to-do lists. One, the doable, the reasonable to-do list. So the short to-do list. And the other one, name it if I have time and energy. So it's important to start with one thing per day. For example, work, and then you do one thing after work per day instead of 1,000,010 things to do after work. You're going to be tired after work anyways. So it's very important that you say what you want to do and do what you say. So it's better to say that you're going to the gym and you manage to stick to it, even if it's just for 30 minutes. At least you set foot in the gym, at least you're building self-trust, rather than saying that you're going to the gym and you're going for a jog and you're going to Pilates and you're going to yoga in one day, because it definitely you're not going to manage to do all those things, and then you're setting yourself up for failure and you're not trusting yourself. And if you think that that person on your Instagram or on your social media manages to go for a run, a walk, to the gym, Pilates, yoga in one day, maybe they had an off day, maybe it's not true that they did all of that in one day, then write on your other list things if I have time, things if I have energy. And you can go to that list if you have the time and energy, and you can tick something off, and that would be your big win instead of your punishment for not managing to do it, for getting overwhelmed whilst you're looking at your to-do list. So it's very important to say what you want to do and do what you say to start building self-trust. So your inner child starts trusting that his or her new mom or dad are really trustworthy. Very important to eat nourishing food and sleep regular hours. You have to think of this as, imagine you adopted a child who's gone through lots of trauma, who felt always alone, sad, abandoned, didn't have the care that was needed, didn't have parents who were emotionally available. So it's very important to think of, it's like you're adopting a child who has lots of trauma. And if you've adopted a child who has lots of trauma, how would you treat this child? Would you feed them junk? Would you feed them sugar? Would you not let them sleep? Or maybe they're sleeping for 5 hours. Would you speak to them in a really harmful, shameful way? No. So you have to eat nourishing food and sleep regular hours. It is the easiest way, when you're eating nourishing food and sleeping regular hours, to regulate your nervous system. And if your nervous system is not going to be regulated, you're going to have migraines, you're going to have diseases in the body, your body is going to start working against itself, your cells are going to start acting up, and very serious diseases will be created in the body, such as autoimmunes, cancer, so on and so forth. So it's very important that you start regulating your nervous system. Another way to continue healing your inner child is to be mindful of what you watch, what you see, what you read, what you listen to, and who you follow. In the past, we used to say that you are the sum of the 5 people you hang out with, but nowadays you are the sum of the people that you follow online. If you're going to follow people who are making you feel insecure, or that you need to hurry up in life, or that you want to change your body completely or to change your facial features completely, unfollow these people. Especially, for example, if you are 30 years old and you're following 20 years old, of course there's going to be a big change between 20s, early 20s and late 20s. If you are a Latina, you can't keep on following Swedish girls and hoping to be like them, and vice versa. And the last thing that I will share on how to continue healing your inner child, and this is golden, is to forgive yourself, to stop shaming and blaming yourself, and to be kind and compassionate towards yourself. If you feel shame for how you acted in your previous relationship, if you cringe when you think of something you've done in the past, if you feel shame for double texting, for begging someone to stay, for pushing the right person away, I want you to think of 5-year-old you, 6-year-old you, 7-year-old you, whatever the age, and think of that child who felt alone, who felt lost, who felt abandoned, who felt unworthy, who felt like they didn't belong, like there's something wrong with them. Think of them and remind yourself that the way adult you acted in your previous relationship or in past times was not actually adult you. It was this wounded inner child, this little girl or boy who wanted love, who wanted to be seen, who wanted to be held. So can you shame and blame that little child inside of you who acted and wanted these things? Definitely not. So forgive yourself. Be kind and compassionate towards yourself, because that was your inner child acting that way. And your inner child has been shamed and blamed for such a long time. It doesn't need more shame and blame. It needs kindness, compassion, forgiveness. Way how you can use this in your day-to-day life would be something like, you drop something on the floor and you say, I'm so stupid, I dropped this on the floor. Okay, how can you shift this? It's okay. We can clean it up. I dropped something on the floor. It doesn't mean I'm stupid. We can clean it up. No worries. First of all, you're helping your inner child feel safe. And secondly, if your inner child is going to feel safe, your nervous system is going to stay regulated. It's going to stay calm. Because if something dropped on the floor and you're like, and rushing to one thing and calling yourself stupid and beating yourself up because you broke some glass or something, you're going to increase the stress level in your body. You're going to increase the cortisol. And then that's why your hair keeps falling out. That's why you have a flare up on your face. That's why you have this excessive fat that no matter how much you train, it's staying around your belly. So it's very important to keep a regulated nervous system. You need to start doing these things if you really want to heal and you want to get out of this destructive rut, this funk that you're in, because knowledge on its own is not going to help the body feel safe, feel better. This is what you need to do. You need to apply all these things that I've mentioned in this podcast. And if you want to dive deeper, there is inner child healing sessions that you can do. I have one-on-one coaching program. I have the group coaching program. I would be very happy to join you on this journey if we are aligned to be on this journey together. And you need to keep on showing up. You need to keep providing safety to your inner child. You need to keep on being consistent. You're not going to do this for one day and everything is going to change immediately. No, you need to be consistent. We're looking for progress here, not perfection. And remind yourself that you are not broken. And if you want to get out of this destructive rut as quickly as possible, if you want to get out of this sad period where you're feeling sad, lost, alone, unworthy, unlovable, you're tired of having the same heartbreaks, you're repeating the same romantic issues in your life. If you want to get out of this quickly, then I do suggest that you do one-on-one coaching. If you feel that you want to get out of this quickly, but you're not in a very dark period in your life, I suggest group coaching. It's a very lovely environment. You will be with like-minded people. Because the problem of this journey is that many people feel like they're alone. They think and believe that there's no one going through this the way that they are. But trust me, there are, and it is a very beautiful setting. So I hope that this podcast gives you 1% hope and 1% courage to start sitting down and doing the work. You do not need to wake up 30 minutes earlier. You do not need to sleep 30 minutes later. What you need to do is you need to be aware throughout the day and monitor your internal conversations constantly. Thank you so much, and I can't wait for the next episode.